Welcome to the Bikini Things podcast, where we talk everything from fitness and competing to mental health and living a healthy lifestyle. I'm your host, IFBBPro, Laura Sammy, here with my co-host, IFBBPro, Sammy Joe. We're so happy you're here with us. Let's get started. Hey, Sammy, how are you?
I'm good, doing good. Lots of change in the last week. Lots of evaluating life and goals and literally everything. But it's been exciting. How have you been?
Good. Similar things, perhaps in a different way. And we've been on the road, so done 2 shows in a row. Nashville, and then the muscle contest in City Showdown. And then this weekend is North Americans. And then after that, I'm going to sit my butt at home for a few weeks and chill. And it's going to be great.
That's exciting. How was Vegas?
Vegas was good. I had my two of my Hawaiian clients, Babs and Melissa, competing. So they did great. Really proud of both of them. Babs won her class. Melissa placed top 5 in her master's group. And I got to have dinner with Kat from Toxic Angels. So we had a fun little. Yeah, I almost drove home Saturday night because the show was smaller and it ended early. But I was like, I've been up since whatever time in the morning. This is going to be another 4 or 5 hour drive. Like, I just, kind of, I guess, wanted to be lazy and just like be a normal person for an evening.
Yeah.
So it was good. Yeah,
That's exciting.
We got sushi. Yeah. Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then you're flying to Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, on Thursday.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
They have a pickle is it Pittsburgh that has it? The pickle festival. I've seen it. People have posted it online. And I literally want to go so bad. I don't know if it's like a once a year thing. This is so random, completely off topic.
You can Google this.
So, and my skin has been skinning lately. I just want to put that out there. I struggled with acne for a very long time. My skin is finally clear.
Do you think some of that is related to gut health now? Did you notice a difference there?
100%. So I think it's definitely gut health related, but also I was like, I'm finally consistent on my topical. I have like a topical lotion, 2 topical lotions that I use from my dermatologist. So I definitely noticed the difference as I started going through the gut health phase. It started to clear up, and then I got more consistent with my skincare. And then like the 2 combined just
nice
locked me in.
Yeah.
It's been fabulous.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So
lots to unpack.
We do have a lot to unpack. I think that's why we're so like, I feel like we're more like we unpacked some of the private tea before we hopped on to, organize our minds. But I think also we've both been through a lot. We've both been traveling. You've been on prep for how many weeks now? So I think the main thing is, should we start at Nashville? I feel like that's like, we got to back up to Nashville.
Yeah, we can go back from there because I feel like we haven't talked since Texas on here, at least.
I don't even remember Texas, Sammy.
You weren't in Texas.
I know, but I feel like since I was at Nashville, it occupies a much bigger space in my brain.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, Texas for me was good. I'll say again, I never have, and I feel like this is a very big thing, right? Like, obviously everybody wants to win. We're not doing competitive bodybuilding for nothing. If you are a competitor, you are competitive. Therefore, you want to win always. So, for me going into Texas, having Texas, being that Texas was my pro debut last year and I got 9th place. Going to Texas this year, I kind of had a expectation for myself, not necessarily like, I know that a placement is not owed to me or anything like that, but I just had a personal goal of getting 9th or better, and I got 13 out of 22, which definitely like hit the gut for sure. Also at Texas, they only have top 10 do their final routines again, not everybody. So that was like a very incomplete feeling because literally never in my bodybuilding career have I not done my routine a second time on stage. So that was like the first time. So it was like really weird. So I was just like, I was just done after that. So that was really, really interesting. Definitely a good experience to get in front of Tyler again. My feedback there was fuller in the upper body, tighter in the legs, more projection in the glutes, more depth to the glutes, and yeah, tighter. So, we already had Nashville booked, and I was excited because I've always heard great things about Nashville. The show, Nashville FitShow. I mean, and the city too.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. I fell in love, honestly. But yeah, the show, in terms of the show, I've always heard great things. So I was really excited to do that. All female panel. I've never been in front of Becky before, so that was really exciting. I did initially think it was going to be Sandy, but she was overseas, I think. So that's why she wasn't there. But but yeah, I can truthfully say Nashville Fit, it was my 11th show I've ever competed in. It is hands down the best I have ever felt on stage. Like, my confidence level was high, my nerves were low, like just everything. Like, I loved my makeup, I loved my hair, my suit. I'm so obsessed with it. I can't even imagine wearing another one on stage. So it's like, it just, like, the whole package just came together. Personally, I think that is the best I've ever looked on stage as well. So that's a personal best, personal goal for me too. But yeah, just like all around, like, I absolutely loved that show. Like, I think that was also one of the first shows that I've competed in where I knew like more than a handful of girls backstage. So I think that kind of attests to it too. Like, it's just fun. Like, when everybody is like, and I mean, I'm sure like for new competitors, like, I don't want to like scare you in the sense of like, sometimes people are just in their zone backstage, right? So it's not like it's unfriendly or like intentionally malicious or catty or anything like that. But it's like, sometimes people are just backstage with their coach. The coach is the only person that they're giving attention to because they're the person giving them feedback on what to do and where to pump up and all of those things. But it was like, everyone was just like, it was super lighthearted. Everyone was having a great time. We're all dancing and, you know, whatever. It was just like, the vibe was just vibey. It was great.
Vibey.
It was
fun.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun.
Yeah. I loved your suit and makeup combo. I felt like it was giving like Disney Ice Princess vibes. Something about that combo, the hair, everything. And yeah, I was backstage with you because I had Jane and Jahira in the amateur show. So it's all one kind of collective area in that auditorium. So it was fun. And it was like cool for me too. It's like I got to see a lot of the girls I've competed with before. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Sammy. Everyone's different. Some people are super bubbly and outgoing. Some people are, I think they can get nervous too, and they're just kind of off on their own, or they're just like, you know, maybe are behind on food or water. And so they're, you know, kind of stressed doing their thing. But it was a fun vibe backstage, and I'm glad you had fun. I've done this show twice, so it's definitely a show I've enjoyed. Yeah, I had that same feeling. Like 2 years ago, 2022, I missed back that year. They only had top 10 do routines, so I was 11. So I missed doing my routine by one place. And then last year I got 10th, so I at least got to do my routine at finals, which was cool. And then this year I think they had everyone do their routine. So I was like,
they did, yes. So that was exciting because yeah, and I think that was the feedback from everybody. Like, everyone was like, this show, and for those who don't know, not only is it an all-female judging panel, but it's an all-female show. So every female division is there, right? There's no really other way to explain that. So I don't know if it was just like less intimidating because it's a panel of females or what, but like everybody got that vibe. So it was like everybody was just like super excited backstage. It was great having you backstage to have like a very close, familiar person. We ran through my posing. And we, you know, it was just really nice to have that like comfort of like someone that you're actually really close to backstage, which is nice. So I think just a combination of everything. And two, I will say it was very I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but to have the pros and the amateur competitors backstage together actually was really fun. Like, not that I would have ever thought that it would be any different, but like to know how I felt when I was in their shoes to now being a pro and stepping on stage and like seeing that like idolization of it and just like how it almost like in all they are is like so humbling. And it's like I'm just like you. Like I was you literally a year ago, but like it doesn't even feel that long, you know what I mean? So it's like it's really just like a humbling, like very grateful feeling of being backstage with those girls too, because then, you know, like you start to talk to them and they're like, this is my first show, and like that just like makes me want to burst out into tears like immediately. I don't know, maybe I'm just an emotional person, but like it's just so fun, like the atmosphere. And like sometimes I don't like when they like separate us. Like it's nice to have that
Yeah.
exclusivity, but it's also nice to like be in the mix with the amateur competitors, because it's like, yeah, while I am a pro, I'm still just like you. Like I still just prepped for however many weeks like you did. Like
Mhm.
the status is a little bit different and the expectations a little bit higher of me than it is of you, but otherwise we're the same. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing, you know, like in theory, in the grand scheme of it, different.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be in the mix together. But that show really stuck a knife in the gut. I think I placed like 27th out of 29. So that was humbling. But I definitely like didn't harp. I probably harped on it. I'm not gonna lie, for like the 10 to 15 minutes it took to get back to the hotel. I was definitely in my feels. And I let myself be in my feels for only 10 to 15 minutes because I remembered, most importantly, how I felt on stage. Again, it was the best I've ever felt on stage. I felt like it was the best my physique has looked within the last 3 shows that I've done. So I was really just focusing on that and making that the highlight of it. And, you know, the placement is the placement. I got my feedback again, more fullness in the upper body, tighter in the legs. So
Mhm.
conditioning. She loved my look. She loved my posing. So all of that was great feedback, you know, definitely things that we're capable of improving on. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, Sammy. I mean, we talked after prejudging for a little bit too, because part of me relates to that. Every year as a pro, as good as shows as I've had at times, like I've beaten girls and who have gone to the Olympia before in shows. I've made first call outs, which is very rare, like to anyone my height, like that doesn't happen. But every single year as a pro, I've placed last call outs at least once. At least, you know, my first year as a pro, 3 of my 4 shows were last call outs. So it's definitely, it's a hard feeling. It's a hard feeling. And it's tough at times, I think, to step back from that, because the thing is bikini is so, like bodybuilding in general, it's so subjective. There are such big swings we can make in the matter of a week or two, just with like conditioning, peaking, you know, carbing up, etc. You know, confidence. Oh shoot, confidence with posing. You know, that really can change a lot. But the thing is like when we're in it, it it really does hurt to receive a low placing, and it can feel like there's this like giant mountain in front of you you have to climb.
Hmm.
And even now, Sammy, it's like even this year, it's like, you know, I'm still struggling to like get over my season last year, which wasn't even that bad, but I never was really at my best at any of my shows last year. And it really, you know, here I am a year later, like still kind of processing a lot of that. And
Yeah.
actually being in Nashville, I think was helpful because it actually got me thinking about this time last year, what I was doing, all of that. That was like, I looked like such a skeleton at that show, and I didn't do awful. I was like 10th, but it was a very hard prep, Sammy. So it's like, I felt for you, and it's really hard at times as a competitor to bounce back when we have disappointments. But the thing is like what makes a champion is somebody who refuses to give up, right? That's all it takes, is just like refusing to give up, because again, it can really change so much show to show. We've all seen athletes that have gone from the last call out to the first call out, even at big shows. So I don't know. I definitely felt for you, and I wanted to like cheer you up at least a little in that moment, or just give you some perspective that like, hey, a lot of us, it's very rare that any pro athlete, especially in bikini, just always places well. That's a very unusual, unique person. Like even Amy Delgado, her first season as a pro, she was like in the mix of like second, third call out. She had to do a big growth phase after she turned pro to like get to that point, and she did it fairly quickly, and she stayed on top. But it's like, even some of these people that we think of as like untouchable, we've all had ups and downs.
Yeah, and two, it's like, it's nice to, and that's why like that's why my biggest piece of advice for like, and just anybody competing, is make friends backstage, because those are the people that are going through the same thing as you, have gone through it, whether they're progressing further than you, faster than you. It's going to be beneficial, right? And it's like to have you to talk to and understand, and you've been competing as a pro for years now, so it's like you get it, right? And it's like, I could talk to my husband about it, but he doesn't, and he gets it, he understands it, but it's different when you're talking to someone who's lived it, who's experienced it. So it's always nice to have that. And it's like, we literally 2-hour conversation the whole time between prejudging and finals, talked about just everything. So that was like, that definitely helped a lot. So I am really appreciative for that. But it's like you said, it's, for me, Nashville was supposed to be my last show. I was going to call the season there, and that was it. Between prejudging and finals, I impulsively signed a contract for Arizona. Didn't tell literally anybody. You left the room. The second you left the room, I did it. You weren't even there when I did it. So I didn't even have anybody to talk to. I was like, let's do it. And then I literally got 27th place. And I was like, all right, that was an impulse decision. But like, even then, when I signed the contract, I knew I was in last callouts.
Yeah. Well, being in the last call out can also be a very incomplete feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to end your season on at least a high note.
Exactly. And it's like, I know that I have the potential. There was just something, and like, this is nothing new, so I'm not saying anything that hasn't been talked about, There was something wrong in my peak process in the last couple weeks of my prep. Like, we knew that there was something wrong, and it wasn't at its max potential. So it's like, all right, this is sparking questions of like, what could we have done better? How can we do better in the future? Do we know what to do moving forward? So those, I will say, Nashville definitely brought up a lot of questions that caused all of us, and I mean all of us, like everybody in my circle, to spin the gears, figure out what is the best next step for me as a competitor and for everybody else in my circle. So it's like, I don't even know how to say it. Yeah, so it's just like a lot of change. Change is uncomfortable. I hate change. I'm very much a creature of habit, especially with like people that I'm close with. So it's like, to have to make these big decisions and big changes is like definitely not ideal in like my heart. But it's like, when I know that I have the potential, we all, like, everybody in my circle is like, we have the potential, but we just don't know how to get there. So what do we have to do? And it's make changes. And that's, changes. When you make changes, you grow. So we've definitely made some changes in the last couple weeks. So I'm really excited to see where everything goes from here. And, it's changes that are going to benefit everybody. Me as a competitor, me as a coach myself, like, so it's just really exciting to see. But with that being said, my season's not over. Surprise! I don't have any shows planned yet. I definitely need like 2 more months. So we're probably looking at like end of October, November. There's like one show, I think, in the beginning of December.
Yeah.
So
So I know you don't want to get into specifics, but do you want to at least divulge like what the change is that you're referring to?
Yeah, so I'm changing coaches. I've been working with my coach for, geez, probably the better half of 5 years. Um, so I started off with him as a lifestyle client, and then when the last 2 years of competing, um, I had the same coach. So I just needed a different perspective, different outlook, different opinion. Um, to really just see what we're missing, what I'm missing, what I'm capable of doing, things like that. So
It's exciting.
exciting.
It's
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm really excited. And I
So,
like everybody again, like it was a mutual decision between all of us, and like
mhm.
coach, my husband, me, like we all kind of just formulated like what is it that we need, and it was a mutual decision, and we knew it was going to benefit. It was just going to be a benefit all around for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. So I'm excited for you, Sammy. And then, like we were talking about, our timelines are probably going to completely flip flop when the new year turns over. So if you wrap up your season and then I'm starting a prep probably sometime next year, it's all good because then it gives us a lot to talk about.
Yeah. And then, hey, well, actually, I don't really know. For a short period of time, I'll have the full brain, or I'll have the half brain, you'll have the quarter brain. So we'll balance each other out.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like actually, you know what is weird with the gut healing protocol that I've been doing is I actually feel like now that I'm getting more healed, I guess, or just getting better, I actually feel like I'm getting more brain power back, which is kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I feel a little bit more on top of it. And or just like random like little things I used to notice. I'm like, oh, I'm not like that anymore. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's interesting.
That's exciting. And
So
I wonder too if that will help. Because I have no, like, I feel like this prep, like, I've been in prep for 24 weeks now. I think I started at like the end of March. I definitely feel like I have a lot. Okay, give me a minute. As I try to tell you, I have more brain function. I can't speak. I just feel like I have a lot more energy, a lot more brain function this time around, and like the only thing I can think of is gut health too. But I also think the more you do it, the more you know what to expect, and it's not as hard to navigate.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
and I feel like that's a big thing because like the Facebook group that I'm part of in for competitors. Someone
Hmm.
was like, I'm exhausted, but at what level of exhausted am I supposed to be? And she's like, I find that I'm getting leaner every week. And I was like, okay, well, you're getting leaner because you're exhausted. So the two definitely correlate. So it's like you're supposed to be tired, you're supposed to be exhausted, but it's like you should also be able to function. And I can't tell you how
Yeah.
exhausted you're supposed to be because everybody's going to be different.
Also, it's like, don't like, I'm sorry, but like, don't be a little bitch. Like,
That too.
sorry. I mean, that sounds awful, but the thing is prepping, competing is not easy. Let's not delude ourselves. It's not easy. Every so often you can get lucky, right? Like maybe because that's the thing too. Let's say you're in a 24-week prep, you get lean enough, you don't need to keep getting leaner. You can then reverse into your show. So that's a
Yeah.
completely different scenario. I did that as an amateur. When I won my pro card, I was reversing into the show. My season in 2022, I was reversing into, so that's different. But like the process to get there is exhausting. Like, so just recognize that you're starving yourself past a point that your body wants to be at. So it's gonna be tiring, and it's probably gonna be more tiring than anything you're used to.
Yeah.
So unless you were, in the military on active duty, or unless you were, I don't know, a wrestler who had to cut weight to a very extreme degree, you've probably never done anything like this. So just recognize that it's gonna be difficult, and like, suck it
Yeah.
up, buttercup. Come
It's
on.
normal. You signed up for it.
Yeah, this is what you signed up. This is what you signed up for.
Sorry, not sorry.
It's
That's
impressive
where
because it's hard. It's impressive because it's hard. Like, let's be real.
exactly. And I feel like that's where like as a coach, And just like, I don't know, I try to keep it real. Like, if I'm going to post something, I'm going to post my raw thoughts. Sometimes, like, my raw thoughts are just that. Like, don't be a little bitch. Just suck it up. Then I don't want to sound what's the word? Unsympathetic. But also, it's like, I know that it sucks. I do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I feel like I have the past to say suck it up and don't be a little bit.
Yeah. And I
Just like, I mean, you do too.
Depends on your plan. There are a lot of athletes and a lot of coaches that are handing out these crazy, unsustainable, stupid, or I should say poorly set up plans or poorly designed plans. And so like, yeah, you could be in that scenario where, you're eating, super low calories right off the bat, super high cardio right off the bat. And yeah, you're right, Sammy. It was funny too, because at Nashville, I had my clients Jane and Jahira there, and they were actually kind of funny because like their preps looked different and they both did amazing. Like I was so proud of both of them. Jane had done her first NPC show 2 weeks before, won the overall, and she was doing like relatively low cardio. I think the highest it got was 4 days a week, 30 minutes. She also has a fairly job where active job, I guess, where she's probably getting a lot of steps as a nurse. Her calories, she's very petite. I think her stage weight is about 85 pounds. So her calories are about 1,400. So not awful given that size.
Yeah.
And then Jahira, we really had to diet her. We really had to diet her hard. And so she was the opposite, eating like very little, doing a lot of cardio, but they both looked amazing. They both presented super well. They both placed really well. We just had a good time backstage. And, Jane was making a vlog. I was making a vlog of the weekend. So we had a really good time. But yeah.
Did she going? So did she she was on the boat.
Yeah. So she got invited to do the photo shoot.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. She's adorable.
She's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe
I was like, wait, I know.
So they had, I think what they did is I think they had the overall winner there. And then I think they had one more class winner. So I think Jane either got picked or won as the other class winner. And to be fair too, she was, I believe, second for the overall. They moved her into the middle next to the girl that won the overall. So I think it was quite close. So I think that was probably how they picked something like that. Yeah.
I was like, all of the pros are like posting their pictures, and then Jane popped up and I was like, hold on.
I know. I know. She was so adorable. She fit right in. She looked great. Yeah. So she's got school and everything. So we're probably going to get her ready for a national show next year, give her a little time to grow, just live life, whatnot. And then Jahira, she's got birthday plans and things like that. But I think both of us feel like she could do another one and bring an even better look if she wants to. So right now we're just reversing really tightly to give us the option of whether we put her in another show or just put her into straight off season.
That's exciting. Yeah, they both looked great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super fun. I was so proud of both of them. So
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And it was so fun to be there with you, see the other pro girls, go out to dinner after, like all of that was so fun.
Yeah. Nashville. I love it. I fell in love. If you've never been to Nashville, this is my PSA that you need to go back. We've literally already talked about going back already. I was there for a whole week.
You were.
And I was like, you know what? I literally felt like I was in college. So when I went to college, I lived with my parents. I commuted. So I was like, I literally felt like a college student, the college experience I never got, because our best friend Tyler came with us. So we had like a little 2-bedroom apartment, or like a little 2-bedroom Airbnb. We were like walking distance from our gym. There was a Whole Foods on the corner. We were like walking to the gym every day. And like, obviously, like we're not in our homes. We have a quarter of the responsibilities that we normally have. Like we were still working, but I was like, this feels so weird. This feels wrong, but it was great. It was so much fun. It was like, everyone was like, we would go to the gym, we would make breakfast, and then everybody would go off and like work. And then we would like reconvene in the evening and we would do something like sightsee or whatever. So it was pretty cool. I'm definitely going.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you had a lot of fun. And Nashville is really cute. There's a lot of cute restaurants, and the like going out nightlife and all that is there too.
Yeah.
1,000 bachelorette parties in any direction.
If
at all
Laura and I
times.
combined had $1 for every bachelorette party that we saw, we could
Would be,
probably we'd be rich. We'd
yeah,
have a lot of money.
would be rich.
We did go to the food hall after on
Oh
Sunday.
yeah, how was that?
Great.
Did you get to?
I didn't get it, but I tried it
Okay.
because I knew it would upset my stomach. And you know what? Listen, food regret, food disappointment is the worst type of disappointment. I will let any human being disappoint me, but the time that food disappoints me, I will never live it down. We literally, when we got there, we did a little food tour. Chris and I shared a lot of it, or all of it. We got a mimosa, and then we asked the guy at the bar. We were like, "Hey, what places in here do you recommend?" And he gave us like 4 or 5 different places and an item to order from each place. So we're like, cool, we'll get that one item and we'll split it. So it's, whatever. So we go, we do our little thing, we get our food. We didn't go to all 5 places. I think we only ended up getting like 3. And then I was like, I really want a sweet treat. Like I didn't do it after the show. And, I was like, I really just want like ice cream, something sweet, something like not a lot. So I'm like, all right, do I do the cookie dough? And Chris is like, it's going to make your stomach hurt. And I was like, I know. All right, I'll try it. So I tried it. It was absolutely delicious. And then I was like, let's just get ice cream. There's an ice cream place in the food hall. So I ordered this peanut butter brownie. And I'm sorry if you're on prep and you're listening to this, but this peanut butter brownie ice cream. And I got chunks of brownie on top. It was the most disappointing ice cream I have ever eaten in my lifetime. I literally wasted calories consuming this ice cream. It was so sad. I was like, I should have just got the cookie dough and dealt with an upset stomach.
Yeah. What was wrong with it?
It just like had no flavor. And like I think the brownies were like old because they were like not.
Yeah, the cookie dough, delicious, but yes, full of gluten except for their gluten-free options. But yeah, definitely worth the stomach ache. I got it last year after the show, but actually it was cute. So last year Jahira came and watched me in the show. She had hired me as her coach 2 months prior. We met at the Nashville seminar the weekend that you won your pro card. So she and I had been working together 2 months. She came with her boyfriend Armando. My mom was there, so the 4 of us went out to dinner, and then we got like dessert thereafter. So I made them like split it with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we didn't even finish it all because it's like so rich, but so, oh my gosh, so good.
I know. Now I need to go back just for that.
Sorry, anyone who's currently doing their cardio on the Stairmaster listening to us being assholes.
Sorry, just fast forward this part.
Yeah. But yeah, Nashville was a great time. And I think maybe what we can do is like debrief about what's next for you when you have a little more direction or you want to share a little more. We did get some listener questions we could go through.
Yeah, let's do those.
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to read off the ones that you had in your question box, Sammy, or should I look at my question box?
These ones are pretty quick. The first one I got says, I sweat easily and profusely, and posing is a workout. How to avoid both show day on stage? Sweating profusely. Yes. How do you avoid sweating profusely on stage? Okay, so I feel like it's inevitable, right? You're gonna sweat on stage. No? You don't sweat when you're on stage? I mean, I've seen it.
A little, if it's super hot. So, okay. I'll give my thoughts and then cause I'm not a sweaty person on stage.
Not personally, but I've seen it.
Oh yeah. So with sweating on stage, a lot of that, especially if you're looking at like male bodybuilders, but I know we're talking mostly bikini, a lot of it can be too much sugar during the carb up. So sugar is more likely to make you sweat. And also too, I think it just depends on how you are as a person. For me, I naturally run colder.
Yeah.
And even at the 2022 Pacific USAs, that was in San Diego and like 95 degrees in that outdoor tent thing. Almost all the bikini pros were sweating. I was sweating a little, but not like, some of them were like down their stomachs, down their back, the tan was running. So I think it also is just you as a person. If you're naturally a sweaty, hot person, yeah, you're going to be hotter under the stage lights. So probably do your best to like regulate your heart rate and your breathing so that way you can stay calm.
Yeah, I would say 2. I mean, they have paper towels backstage.
Yeah,
Dab, don't wipe.
you can pop off if you're waiting like if you are a pro, right? You can pop off the side of the stage and usually they've got like backstage hands or tanning gals or something that can hand you a little paper towel if you want to like pat yourself.
Yeah. And then 2, the first thing that came to mind was the usage of baby powder. Some tanning companies will put baby powder on your armpits and like the creases and crevices before you leave. Some people don't do that. So like bringing your own baby powder and putting it on because the baby powder will absorb the sweat. So that's just a helpful tip. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't personally deal with that, but I have been in comparisons, or like I've been on the side watching comparisons happen, and I'm just watching like tan sweat drip down people's bodies.
Yeah. So I think some of that is probably them as a person, nerves, what they peaked with, etc. But yeah, you're right, Sammy. And the hot part, the thing too, as a pro, the hot part of the stage is that line with the lights, like that call out line. When you're on the side, you're not as brightly lit, so the lights aren't quite as harsh. So for gals like me that have hung out in the third call outs a lot, you know, I got my time to like chill, stay cool, let everyone else take the limelight and just, you know, stay sweat free on the side.
Sweat it out.
So that's what, you know, one of the pros of being in the last call out is you can just chill and not be sweaty.
The silver lining.
Yeah, silver lining. You can always find one.
Next one is, do you have yours up? Or do you want me to ask this one?
You go ahead and I will pull mine up.
Okay. It says, can you share some backstage show day etiquette that a beginner will not know? I feel like every backstage is going to be set up differently, but just know that like as you get backstage, you're essentially going to find just like a little spot on the floor or a chair that you can kind of just set your stuff up. You don't necessarily have to like, everybody has suitcases, but you don't necessarily have to like unpack your suitcase and like really just put out a spread. If you want to bring a blanket, you can put your blanket down. I honestly don't think I've literally ever done that. I kind of just sit on the floor or just don't sit, but on the chair. But I would say just making sure that like your stuff isn't, you're not taking someone's spot essentially. But I mean, even then it's like, there's only so much space.
Yeah, you're right, Sammy, that each backstage is different. So just some of these things I think are like common courtesies, but like, for example, if there are kind of areas that are like walkways or like pathways to walk, do not lay your blanket down and starfish out in the middle of like a walking area. Like kind of put your stuff more off to the side, like out of the way, just like you normally would in any common space. And then the other one too is like, this happens at a lot of shows. Sorry, Frankies. We will edit that out.
You're fine.
At a lot of shows, I see this happen where people are like glazing and they spill glaze everywhere on the ground. And now all of a sudden there's like an oil slick where you can actually, somebody important is here. I don't know who. Somebody besides Rafa. So anyways, yeah, you've got to be careful with the glaze because people can trip and fall. So I think that's like another common courtesy is if you're going to glaze people, be tidy.
Yeah, especially like, so if you're using the company that is at the show, they're typically going to put you in a booth before you like as you're glazing. But if you're using a third party company, you're most likely going to glaze yourself. That's a big one. I almost literally ate shit several times at Nashville because people were just glazing wherever they wanted to. And it was like, we were in an auditorium. So it's like that slick high school flooring.
Yeah.
And I already had my heel.
Like concrete, smooth flooring.
Yeah.
Your heel just catches it and you could just do one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. We even had someone start glazing someone backstage, like where we were walking.
Oh my gosh.
And the expediter was like, can you not do that here, please?
Yeah. So those are the main ones I can think of, you know, just like common courtesies. Also, like a lot of backstages have a pile of common pump up bands. So given that they have that, don't steal other people's pump up bands, don't steal other people's belongings. Like, I don't know. Just, I feel like basic common courtesies apply.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have one. What are some must take or highly recommended supplements for prep?
I would say the basics, a multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin C, vitamin D, and magnesium
Would you
are
add in a
like,
probiotic?
yes, I was trying to think. I knew I was missing something.
Yeah.
Probiotic for digestion. I also started this prep implementing turmeric for like as an anti-inflammatory,
Mhm.
which has been super helpful.
Yeah. So a couple thoughts there. So turmeric is great. Agreed as an anti-inflammatory for joints. If you're running anabolics or anything that's going to thicken your blood, turmeric's also a slight blood thinner. And then another one I would add would be creatine as well. Creatine's a great one in general. That, any kidney issues or perhaps if you're taking Clen, something like that might not be the best idea. But if you're doing that, you're also probably taking a lot of other stronger supplements besides creatine for muscle building. So
Yeah. And then, I mean, your typical like pre-workout,
yeah,
BCAAs, things like that.
yeah.
But I would say
I
those
always like
are,
electrolytes
yeah.
too, salt.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I do glutamine and glucosamine as well. Those are just in my natural stack that I take every day. But I would say those are more of like the optional. Those aren't set recommended.
Yeah, I agree with basically all the ones that you listed off. So we're like very well aligned there.
Yeah.
How about any other questions that you have, Sammy?
Yeah, I have how to deal with imperfection during a reverse and when is it okay to be lenient? I would say starting with the leniency part, that's going to be, every coach has a different approach to a reverse. If they give you a free meal, an untracked meal, that is when you have the ability to be lenient. Otherwise, you stay on plan 100%. As someone who hasn't followed a reverse properly, the leniency is not at your discretion, especially for your health, your well-being, and just your body recomposition.
Yeah.
And then how to deal with imperfection during a reverse, I would say, and this is from my own experience, if you're deep in the imperfection already, identifying what it is that's triggering these imperfections to happen. Is it you're done your show, are you now buying these foods that you shouldn't have? Whereas maybe you had a little bit more willpower when you were in prep to not buy them, but now that you're like, oh, I'm done, let me buy them. Or you've had them hoarded in your house until your show was over and now they're there and you're like, well, I don't have a show date anymore, so like I could probably eat it and get away with it. Well, that adds up fast, real fast. So I would say maybe just eliminating the temptation, identifying why that slip up happened, and really just planning, right? You're still, think of it as you're still in prep. You still meal prep every week. You still are following the same protocols that you were following before, but again, this time maybe now you just have a free meal or an untracked meal once or maybe twice a week, depending on what your coach has in your protocols.
Yeah. Thank you for saying all that, Sammy. I think that was really well said. And especially since you're coming from your own personal experience, I think has that much more authority behind it, because this is a really, sensitive topic, I think. And a lot of times athletes, they don't want to reverse, right? They just want to go back to like normal, but that's not how it works. We didn't take 1 to 2 weeks to get ready for the show. The reverse is not going to take 1 to 2 weeks. And so I think it really depends, right? Like if your coach has you on a meal plan and that's the expectation, okay, follow the meal plan. And then, yeah, they, talk to them, ask them if you're going to get free meals. That might also too, like that might motivate you. I use those sometimes with clients too, to motivate them to stick with their reverse, where I might even like Tori, for example, we want her to do another show this year because we feel like we can make more improvements. I don't personally feel like she was fairly placed at her last show. And so one thing I'll do is I'm like, all right, Tori, I'm going to have you check in twice this week. But like, if we have really good check-ins, I'm just going to give you a free meal of like whatever you want. And so I think, you can talk with your coach about that. If you're doing macros, you already have a ton of flexibility. So try to include the foods that you want into the reverse. And remember that you also need to make yourself feel full. So if you go too ham on like candy or cookies or whatever, you're going to use all your macros and have nothing left for like real food, or you're just going to give yourself a stomach ache that lasts for like a day, 2 days at a time, especially if you're freshly off the stage. So none of us are perfect. None of us are robots. So have I slipped up on reverses? Yes. But I would say out of my 8 preps, 6.5 of my reverses were like immaculate. The other 1.5, not perfect. And I think it really comes down to your mental state. Like the reverse I had that was bad, my first year as a pro was the year I was hurt, was the year my mom was hurt. I had a season of like all last call outs. I was mentally not feeling it. And I ordered all these cookies, Sammy's. I've talked about this. I've ordered all these cookies to the point where I was like getting a box of cookies in the mail and just straight throwing it away or like giving it away. But I'm lucky enough that my body doesn't like to really gain weight in general. And so I got up, I blasted up 15 pounds super quickly. And I was like, all right, Laura, enough's enough. Like at any moment, you can decide to go a different direction. So like I got to that point where I'm like, I'm tired of feeling like shit. I can tell I'm inflamed. I can tell I'm swollen. I'm getting rid of all of this stuff, all this food that I don't want. And I'm going to start fresh. And I did. And I had a great off season. And that next year was like probably my best year as a pro in terms of placings, at least. So yeah, I think that it's really on the athlete to like own up and decide if they want to actually make improvements. If you don't actually want to make improvements and you don't really give a fuck about like your health or your heart or your lungs that are going to be put under all this pressure as you rapidly gain weight, okay. But like if you actually want to be an athlete and you actually want to get better, you need to like actually try to reverse and not just say, oh, this is too hard. The prep was hard. The reverse is easier if you just put your mind in a good spot.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, another thing that I especially for my last prep was almost, it was a celebration, right? Because I had just turned pro and then went into a pro season. So it was almost like, I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go out. We have like 3 different friend groups. So it's like, all right, let's go out with them and celebrate. All right, now let's go out with them and celebrate. All right, now let's go out with them and celebrate. And it was like, it was just compounding one over the other. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm still following my macros, but I'm still indulging. And I just wasn't definitely as serious as I needed to be, but also eliminating that. Like the way you said no before, you have the ability to do it. You have the brain power, you have the dedication and the determination to be like, sorry, no, I can't go out to eat.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Yeah.
You did it before for the last 12 weeks. Yeah. Why can't you do it for 6 more weeks, you know?
Or use delayed gratification. If you have 3 friend groups, you don't need to go out with them 3 nights in a row. You can meet with one friend group one week and one friend group the next and one the week after that and spread it out too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always a good topic. We should definitely, maybe we do a bigger episode on reversing, like after you're done with your
and I'm actually reversing. It'll keep me accountable.
Yes. Be like, Sammy, give us your reverse updates. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one is lessons as a coach, unexpected issues you had to troubleshoot. I can go first if you want on this one.
Go first.
Okay. I've literally had like any and every scenario you can think of at this point. I'm pretty sure I've cut girls' hair backstage, getting the menstrual cycle on show day, finding out clients are completely cheating on their meal plan in outrageous ways, all kind, like probably anything you can think of. I've had it happen. So yeah, clients who try to prank me and tell me that they got drunk the night before the show and can't find the venue, anything. But the fun part of it is you become more resilient, more patient, and more empathetic by being a coach is what I found. So it's helps me in those ways. I definitely used to be a lot more impatient and probably less empathetic when I first started 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't had anything like too crazy.
Not yet.
No. Like I guess that wasn't really like crazy. Yeah, no, that's not crazy.
Did you have a client shotgunning salt packets backstage before her show?
Actually, you're so right. I literally had a client who came to me, and it was a friend. In the middle of her prep, or like literally 8 weeks before her show, she's like, hey, I want to do a show. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. Like she was already halfway there. And then come show day, obviously well, she's in a different state, so I'm not there with her, but I'm giving her all of her protocols, everything she needs, everything I know she needs, because I'm the one that just prepped her for the last 8 to 10 weeks. And then she has a friend with her on show day who is also a coach, who is giving her the completely opposite protocols of what I'm giving her based on what I know about her body and how she responds to certain things. So she did pretty much, she was shotgunning salt packets backstage, because that's just what they thought that everybody is supposed to do backstage, when I gave her very specific pump up protocols, very specific things to eat and have and timing. Yeah, that was probably the craziest. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. In general, I think the thing, as far as like maybe biggest lesson or takeaway as a coach, is I always try to meet people where they are, right? Like whether it's lifestyle, competitor, whatever, I try to meet people where they are. Like if I have somebody who's completely sedentary, diabetic, has been that way for decades, I know that they're going to take a long time probably, or they're just going to,
Yeah.
not only going to take a long time to reach their goals, but they're not used to any of this. Like they're not used to working out. They're not used to eating healthy. They're not used to going for walks or taking steps. And so a lot of things have to change. And like that person might require more hand holding and more patience and more empathy than your bikini competitors who have been at the gym crushing it for years to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're competing on stage, and they've been in fitness for a long time. So I think you just kind of have to recognize, like, I don't know, treat people the way you want to be treated. I think I was definitely, like, early on, at least as a competition coach, I think if I reflect back, I think some of my clients I was maybe too harsh on, or maybe I was like trying to coach them the way I would want to be coached, like the psycho girl who knew she wanted to be pro forever and would do like whatever it took to, improve, get to the top. Not everyone's like that, so you kind of, I think it's really important to understand your clients, understand their mind and their intentions and their goals, and then act accordingly, because it's really not one size fits all.
Yeah. And two, it's like, it's easy for us to conceptualize it in our brain because we have been doing it for so long. But like you said, for someone who has no experience and has never done it, you really do have to meet them where they're at and then help them build that process. Just like, it's almost like reflecting back to when you started, right? It's like you didn't do everything. You didn't just wake up one day and start everything. It was like healthy habits that you learned over time. So it's like, that's what I do with my lifestyle clients that are, on the more sedentary side or don't have a lot of experience or knowledge or, things like that. And it's like just implementing one thing week over week so that it's not overwhelming. And then again, it's really just having that sympathy and just really understanding where they're coming from so that it's not overwhelming. And it's also an enjoyable process too. You don't ever want them to resent what they're doing because they find it so hard.
Yeah.
You want them to find joy so that it becomes just part of their life.
I feel like we're both. I feel like, Sammy, I feel like a sewer rat too.
Such the most Monday I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, this is a very Monday. I'm definitely very tired. I'm like, I think I'm ready for bed. I feel like we should maybe just call it here.
I think so.
We did. I agree. And
as always, if you guys ever want us to elaborate on a topic or you feel like we kind of touched on something, but you have more specific questions, as always, the comments below are open. We welcome any and all questions just to make our content better.
Yeah. Feel free to DM us, bikini_things. You can go to our posing website, DM us there, pretty.posing on Instagram. All the links are below. So before we let you ladies go, also too, if you want to talk to us for coaching, things like that, our consultation links, contact info is always below. Hit us up. So with that all said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share with a friend. If you're listening on an audio platform, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and still share with a friend so the podcast can grow. We appreciate you listeners so much. We love doing these podcast episodes. So we'll catch you guys in the next one.